Coming to you live from our studio in Atlanta, Georgia, this is the A1 Trading Daily Show. Whether markets are rising or falling, we're here to keep you up to date with the latest market news. Join us. We trade currencies, commodities, and indices live, Monday through Friday.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another live stream. We are back in the studio for another day of trading, another day of news coverage for you guys at home. If you're just tuning into the stream for the very first time, I want to thank you for being here and welcome you. We've got a loaded plate here today and tomorrow with today's unemployment claims coming out, and of course tomorrow's core PCE. Let's hear from our friend with the news report. We got James. He just showed up. Hey James, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So James, today we've got unemployment claims. What's the impact to the market, and why does this matter?
So unemployment claims is going to let us know the number of people who are filing for unemployment, and unemployment jobs are that's obviously things that are going to affect the economy, therefore affecting the dollar. So keeping up with things like unemployment, NFP, other things that deal with the job space, definitely something to keep an eye out for when taking a look at the overall health of an economy, and therefore that economy's currency as well.
Yep, no, and that makes sense. And then also there's implications to I guess the continuation of that story, why jobs matter so much, especially to something like the Federal Reserve, is because high jobs and a booming job market, what that does is it floods money throughout the system, causing inflation, right? Because, the more people who get jobs, the more people who get raises, the more people, when there's that economic activity going on, people go out and they spend that money. They go buy a new boat. They go buy a new house.
Exactly.
And the Fed is looking at that and they're saying, hey, that's actually working against us right now because inflation's a real problem and it's causing, the average consumer to get, destroyed at the grocery shopping line. So
right.
It's an interesting story. So unemployment claims coming out today.
Right.
And then, of course, what do we have tomorrow, James? We have PC numbers.
Tomorrow we have core PCE price index on the dollar. That'll be happening at 8:30 a.m. as well. So another 8:15 start time tomorrow. If you are here and watching, again, normally we do 9:30 start time, but on days where we have potential news spikes, volatility, anything like that, we are here to cover the numbers for you guys. So again, 8:30 tomorrow, core PCE price index, be there.
Yep. Should be a market moving event, if not more market moving than today, as core PCE is according to Forex Factory and general knowledge about the Federal Reserve, it's the one that the Fed pays most attention to when it comes to inflation numbers. So will be interesting, and we'll of course be there with coverage. So let's jump into some charts. We got 5.5 minutes here before the unemployment claims jump in. James, I know you've got the market heat map pulled up. If you want to just run us through that real quick, and then we'll jump into some technical charts, get going there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's check out the indices really quickly first. We can take a look at the U.S. indices, and they're all in the red right now. NASDAQ, S&P500, and US 30 all trending down here to start the day before we get into all of that news happening here in just a second. Taking a look at a couple of the pairs making moves to the upside. We don't have a whole lot. We're seeing more red than blue in the market right now, but taking a look up here, GBP, NZD, USD, ZAR, Euro, NZD, GBP, AUD, Aussie, NZD, and GBP CAD are our top movers to the upside. And if we take a quick look down here towards the bottom, I'm seeing Bitcoin selling off again today. That's the same as it was yesterday, followed by NZD, JPY, NZD, CHF, NZD, USD. I'm noticing a pattern here. NZD CAD, Aussie CHF, and Aussie JPY. So looks to me like Australian dollar pairs and New Zealand dollar pairs especially selling off this morning. And euro and pound pairs, for the most part, seem to be trending upwards here to start off the day.
Yep. Well, thank you, James, for that update. We're going to now jump into some technical charts as we get closer here to the event, talk a little bit there. Thank you, James, for coming on as always.
Yep, of course.
All right, so I wanted to, talk a little bit about some charts here before we get into unemployment claims, which do happen in about 4 minutes from now. We have the number dropping. How impactful will it be to the market? Well, it depends how far off from expectations or close it is to expectations in terms of what forecasts are. Currently, forecasts are 249,000 jobless unemployment claims. That is the forecast. We'll, of course, be covering to see what's happening there with the numbers. I want to give you guys a quick update. I've got my euro yen trade. It's still on. It's coming back against me. Well, it's still in profit, but price came back up to the previous high. And it didn't quite make it enough of a breakout for me to trail stops. So I still have this trade on. Yes, it's in profit, but my stop loss is in place. I know what I'm going to do if this thing moves against me. So this is a trade that I am in. And I have to talk about, I probably will not shut up about it today. It happened, guys. The NASDAQ trade absolutely hit. Check this out. So NASDAQ trade currently floating here just under $2,600, which is a really nice jump on this this position. I picked it up yesterday. I shared this inside of the Discord channel, and it just boom, bam, thank you, ma'am. It just went flying higher here, partially off of some of the news that occurred with NVIDIA. Their forecasts just shot up to the moon in terms of demand for semiconductors, and of course, the NASDAQ, comprised of many tech stocks, boomed on this news as well. And so we've got the NASDAQ trading higher. I am looking for those of you guys who are also trading NASDAQ with me. If you're inside of our Discord channel where I called out this trade, I'm looking to trail stops here. So if I can get a move above, I am looking to trail higher. And again, it's a big hitter. I would say this was a one of my better trades that I've had so far, even this year. I mean, I would say it's not my biggest winner by any means, but it's probably one of the fastest wins that I've had so far. This trade in just a couple hours just shot up like crazy. So yeah, we're going to be taking a look at some other different markets. We've got 2 minutes or so. Somebody says gold is why we're here. Don't worry. We will cover gold as always. We cover gold here. We cover indices. We cover currencies. We do it all on the channel. And if you guys enjoy the content, smash that thumbs up button, and we'll take a look at gold for you guys in the chat here. We got 500 people. Do me a favor. We have very few likes on the stream. If you guys don't mind taking half a second, smash that thumbs up button. It will tell the YouTube algorithm you want to see more of this stuff. So here's the thing. Is gold a buy? For me, no. For me, gold is neither a buy or a sell. We are too range bound, and I'm not going to be trading it. The reality of this thing is, even though I love trading gold, I don't love trading gold if it's not making any decisive direction. Yes, you have these big explosive moves up and explosive moves down, but I'm really looking out for, perhaps with this news, which we've got about just over 1 minute, I'm watching to see if we break out. If it breaks lower, sellers are in control. Here's the thing about retail traders right now. Retail traders are super bullish on gold. I can tell you that just off the top of my head, but let's just confirm it just to see if I'm right. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Let's take a look at gold. We'll refresh the data, make sure we have the latest, and there it goes. Retail traders, the popular trade is to be buying gold right now. So this is very concerning because I am bullish on gold, but I don't want to buy it when all of the average retail traders are buying it, right? It's a little bit of a red flag. And again, something to be paying attention to. Guys, we've got 30 seconds here before the news. Let me go ahead and just pull up some charts, make sure I have, we will come back to gold with more details in just a moment, but let's make sure we don't miss the spike. Got the S&P 500 in the bottom left. We'll put the dollar yen bottom right. That's probably fine. Put the dollar top right, and of course, gold top left here. So we're going to see what unemployment claims look like here today. And there we go. Here we go. Let's see if we have any volatility here this morning off of unemployment numbers. And there goes gold. Dollar shooting back up a little bit here. Unemployment numbers are definitely in. Let's go see if we have those numbers coming. There it is, 1.3% preliminary GDP hitting right now. Gold spiking slightly down. S&P 500 about flat. Dollar yen trading up a little bit. Dollar up just a little bit as well. waiting on these unemployment claim numbers. And there it is, 229,000 jobs. I'm sorry, unemployment claims, slightly less than forecasted. And gold catching back up a little bit. Dollar yen trading higher. The S&P 500 selling off just slightly. Dollar showing some strength here. Hitting around 104 and holding so far. 229,000 unemployment. Thank you guys for that in the chat, for keeping us up to date as best as possible. Yeah, it's a 229. So that's less than forecasted. It's not a massive, substantial, less than expected unemployment claims. So I wouldn't say it's game changing by any means, but still causing the market to move here a little bit. Also preliminary GDP, 1.3% compared to the forecast of 1.1. Could be an interesting mover as well. There goes the dollar making a little bit of a push here. This is a 15-minute chart. So granted, this is not a massive move by any means. If it was a big move, it would shoot off the screen. That's how you generally can tell with 15-minute charts, if it's a real big move or if it's just a, lower time frame move. So right now I would say this move is a move. It's just not a, a ginormous massive move. So dollar yen moving about 20, 25 pips. That's a good sized move. It's not huge though. So gold back down to the lows, 1955 being challenged here. Let's see if price can what it'll do here. The question for dollar bulls and gold traders here, if you're trading gold right now, you're straight up trading against the dollar. And the question is, I mean, if you're buying gold, right? If you're buying gold, you're betting just strong against the dollar, which has been a very tough trade. I would be very cautious, as this chart does look like it may have room to squeeze lower. And if it does, I think what comes with that is a bigger push to the downside. I'm not long gold. I'm not short gold either. It's not really a trade I'm paying too close attention to. Let me double check and see if this is impacting my NASDAQ trade here slightly, but not too much. Of course, still floating just around $2,500 on this trade. And again, caught that support level, still holding on to this one very, very well. Yeah, that's quite the move. And also, I should also mention, yeah, the confetti went up for that one. Yeah, the NASDAQ trade is just hitting it. It is just going crazy right now. So anyways, let's talk about some stuff here in terms of sentiment. Why was I long biased NASDAQ? Let me go through it with you guys real quick. So NASDAQ, a couple things stuck out to me. First of all, retail traders, the amateur crowd, super short on NASDAQ, betting against a strong movement higher, right? As we know, very often retail traders are on the wrong side of the moves. So retail traders are betting heavy against the NASDAQ, right? And so with that, when they're betting heavy against the NASDAQ, I'm saying, okay, I don't want any part of that. I'm not looking to short the NASDAQ alongside the losing crowd, right? For lack of a better, just being straight up, it's the losing crowd tends to fade, what's going on. That's the retail money. So I wanted to get long on NASDAQ for that purpose. On top of that, Smart Money Tracker, let's take a look at institutional money. And I want to show you a very interesting chart specific to the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ here, NAS100, we're going to go right here. I want to show you guys how this has progressed over time. What you can see here is that this is our look at institutional week-to-week positioning. We've added this chart more recently. For those of you guys who have the EDGEFINDER, just head over to Smart Money Tracker and scroll down. You'll be able to access this data yourself. So what we saw is the NASDAQ in recent weeks has been increasing in institutional long exposure. In fact, it's been increasing at a dramatic rate. We've seen NASDAQ just continue higher. And at the most recent filings, we've had 57% of positions are on the long side. It's not a whopping percentage of long, but it's an increasing percentage. This is coming up from 46% previously. So we had a big increase in institutional buying of the NASDAQ. So I went to go to the NASDAQ and I said, okay, well, what do I want to do with this? Well, that is where, like I said, I ended up, and look at that gold, by the way, gold is trading right underneath the lows. What an impressive sell-off there here this morning. We'll have to come back to that in just a moment. Let me finish my thoughts with the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ came down to a level that I would have been watching. This zone in gray is where I ended up wanting to get long based on the things that I talked about. So We talk about this often on the channel. Technical analysis is what most traders, especially on the retail side, focus on. And there's nothing wrong with technical analysis. I know traders who use solely technical analysis and do fine. But what I like to do and what has helped me in my trading has been incorporating other factors. Notably, what we just talked about is sentiment analysis. This is things like COT, right? The commitment of traders data, or retail positioning, another thing that I love to look at. Fundamentals is like the inflation story, unemployment numbers, like we just got done seeing. Those things contribute to my analysis as well. So I use these components in addition to technical charts to try and find better confluence in my trading instead of just purely trading a technical chart, which, like I said, I think you can still do fine with. But for me, what adds that extra level of profitability has always been the fundamentals, understanding why the market's driving and what are the macro drivers of the market are doing so that I can try and join that story at an appropriate rate. So that's where I'm at with the NASDAQ. I've got this trade open. I'm holding on to it. I'm looking to see if we can break through the highs. And in that case, I will look to trail stops further. If you guys would like access to the Edge Finder here, we're going to do something right now. If you guys would like access to the Edge Finder, if you want access to the COT report data, the retail sentiment, if you want to look at fundamental trends like GDP, inflation, unemployment, interest rates, if you want to track what the Fed is up to using our Fed tracker tool, we're a software company out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we're handing out trials while this live stream is on air. If you guys would like to check that out, if you want to try out the software and get your hands on it right now, click this link that's being dropped in the chat. This link will take you to a live chat feature where you can have a conversation right there. Click that link. It's going to take you to a place where you can have a conversation with someone on our team to get your hands on the Edge Finder, which gets you access to all of the data that I use to help me find my trades. So yeah, buy gold, it's a trap. So here's the thing. There's just nothing on this chart that tells me to buy gold. In fact, if anything, with this break to the downside, I would actually be more interested on the sell side. And I'm not a bear on gold. From a fundamental perspective, I'm not a fan of selling gold. But from a technical perspective, this chart looks so bearish that I can't touch it on the long side. Same thing goes for the flip side effect on the dollar. I'm not really a dollar bull, but this chart is absolutely not something I can short. Well, what would make me short the dollar? Well, breakouts the other direction. And we're not there. So I can't do anything with this chart until we start to see breakouts. So for me, there's absolutely nothing to do on the dollar. And if you're a dollar bull, all I've got to say is congrats. This has been a great trade for dollar bulls. A beautiful chart to the upside. And again, I'm not participating because I fundamentally don't love buying the dollar right now. But from a technical perspective, it's a very impressive run up. And again, congrats to anybody who's long. I've just been trading. I've been trading very heavily the NASDAQ and also my Euro Yen position as well. So let's see. I want to show you guys also this other trade I'm in. This is a currency trade that I'm in, Euro JPY. Euro Yen, I've been long. I picked it up after it pulled back to a key level of support here. And price rallied off of those lows. I've got my stop loss. I have not moved my stop loss yet. My stop loss is just $250. It's a very, very small trade. But I picked it up ahead of, the morning before the meeting minutes yesterday. So I didn't want to pick up a big size on this one. So I picked up a really small trade. And the question for me will be, can we break out? If this Euro Yen shows signs of trend continuation, meaning specifically we break out of some of these resistance points, right? That's going to be my cue to go ahead and take this stop loss that I have on the trade and move it into profit, especially if it forms some sort of higher low. Like if this ends up being the low for the Euro Yen today, that perhaps could give me an opportunity to trail my stop loss and take it out of a loss situation and lock in some profit on the trade. So that's where I'm at with that. How much does the Edge Finder cost? Hector, you can find out all the information about the Edge Finder by messaging us. One more time, we'll click that, or we'll drop that link in the chat for you. If you guys would like to ask questions about our software, we have different payment options. That's the reason I'm not giving you a straight answer. It depends what you go for. We have different tiers of the software. We have payment plans, things like that. If you have any questions about that stuff, just connect with someone from our team. You can ask all of your questions there, whether it be something technical about the tool, whether it be about payment plans, whether it be about price, whatever it is, you can contact. We have several people who are trained. Every person that gets access to the EDGEFINDER, because I have a staff that is trained on how to use it and how to explain it to people, you're also getting training. You're getting contact with somebody from my team who can answer your questions as you go along. This tool is a lot of great information, but I understand that it can be a lot to look at. So we actually connect you with a representative when you purchase the tool so that you can understand how everything works. How will the EDGEFINDER help me with trading Forex? Well, if you watch my streams, if you watch my content, I use it for all of my trading, whether it's currency trading or index trading like I do as well. The EDGEFINDER has stuff for several traders, whether you're a futures trader, commodities trader, Forex trader, stock trader even. The EDGEFINDER has plenty of valuable tools for you, whether it's COT data, right? So if you want to look at what institutional money is doing, we can also pay attention to things like, we actually added crypto just recently. So for example, Bitcoin, it's been on a sell bias here recently. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin, by the way. It's had a sell reading for the last few weeks, or ever since we finished building Bitcoin, it's had a sell rating. So yeah, this chart, showing signs of weakness still. And yeah, so the EDGEFINDER, what it does is it pulls all sorts of different pieces of information and it generates a bias to help out. So for example, let's say you're a currency trader and you're looking at Euro USD. Euro dollar has been a bearish reading on the EDGEFINDER the last few weeks. And I can actually even show you that. Let me show you guys something on the historical backtest tab. And if I go, let's see, I want to go to Euro USD and I can pull up the Euro. So the Euro, it's been sort of a printing sell bias here recently. You can see the price of the Euro has been going down. We could also take a look at, for example, Euro JPY has been one that I've been long on. That's actually one of the trades that I showed you guys here just a second ago, Euro JPY. So this is a trade I'm long on right now. Part of the reason that I went long is because it was hitting support, but it also had confirmation from the EDGEFINDER, which has been a nice little confluence factor in finding this trade. So this is historically showing you the scores that were generated by the EDGEFINDER, as well as crossed against what price has been doing as well. So very, very cool stuff there. Anyways, a recap on the jobs numbers here. This morning, we had unemployment claims come out at 229K, less than expected in terms of the filings for unemployment. So of course, this is a little bit of a strengthening to the dollar here this morning, and it continues to be just a nonstop bull trend here for the dollar, which has been crazy. What's your take on cable? I'll pull it up real quick. We'll see how this thing is going. Yeah, there's pound dollar. Just for me, this is just a weak chart. I can't really justify getting long on this one. If I was to be short biased on it, which I believe the EDGEFINDER does have a sell bias on it, it would have to be on a bigger pullback, right? So a pullback into resistance somewhere could be more interesting. But fundamentally, I also don't love shorting the pound at this time. So I don't have really a trade bias on this one, but from a technical perspective, it definitely looks very weak, in my opinion. So real quick, guys, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll come right back here and we'll meet up with Marco, who's coming on to the channel as a guest today. Check it out.
Attention A1 Trading Show fans, if you're interested in getting free access to the EDGEFINDER or our premium trade alerts, listen up. For a limited time, our show's partnered broker 8cap is giving out free access to our products when you sign up for a new trading account with them. If you already have a broker, you may want to consider switching to 8cap because of their low trading costs, a wide range of trading assets, and their amazing customer support. If you'd like to get access to our software and Discord server for free, click the link being dropped in the chat right now and ask one of our team members for more information. Don't miss your chance for free products and an award-winning broker. Now back to the A1 Trading Show.
Hey, Marco, welcome back to the show, man. Good to see you back.
Hello. Hello.
Marco, so today's volatility continues to be crazy. Here goes gold. A lot of people are talking about gold in the chat, and we're going to jump into some charts together as we do each week. If you guys are not familiar with Marco, he is a very technical trader, who we always love having onto the show. You trade lower time frames like the 1 hour chart. You have a similar trading style to myself, I would say, in terms of the momentum traders. You're looking for higher risk reward. So I'm excited to see some of your analysis here today. And just following up with what we were just talking about with gold. Gold is tanking here under the lows. Just does not want to quit. It seems like gold trading at 1941. Marco, what's your reaction to what have you been looking at in the markets today?
Sure. Let me just share my screen. Also, one thing we do very similarly, I think, is trailing stops. I think. Okay.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I think, well, I haven't heard too much on your side of what you do with trailing stops, and I'd love to hear more about it. But yeah, trailing stops are my primary way of exiting a trade personally. So yeah, take us through this this gold movement real quick. What's I know you don't trade it, but in terms of just a technical move, what are we looking at today?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'll do the 1 hour chart as usual. So for me, we had this kind of a sideways range, but now it has clearly broken out of the range. So what usually happens in the technicals in something like this is this candle can very easily retrace back into the range, or the next candle easily retraces back and continues with this range bound price action. So what I would need to see for a conviction of a breakout, I would need to see the next hourly candle actually continue with the movement down. So we have around 12 more minutes for it to print. Currently, it looks like it's gonna just form a little bit of a wick. And then if the next candle continues, I would definitely be looking to sell. But just by this one candle alone, I can't judge if this is a true breakout or just a false breakout. So I need more data for this one.
So in the case that you do see some weakness on gold in the following hourly chart or the hourly candle, how would you enter from there? Would you be looking for a retracement, or would you just sell after that second hourly candle?
Yeah, so I would look for a pullback. I always look for a pullback. I never just get in on a market order. I mean, I do, but on a pullback. So I would need to see the next candle continue down a bit more, possibly print a similar size red candle. And then I would need to see either a flag formation, at which I enter with a market order right here in this leg, or I would need to see a small pullback, another break of the low, and then a retest of the low. So I set a pending sell limit order. And basically, so I don't use a take profit, I only put in a stop loss. So I only put in a stop loss and then just move the stop loss as the price keeps going down. So an example would be price keeps trending down, and I just move my stop loss on these swing highs, let's say.
Yep. So very, very similar to my own style. I think our entry style is a little bit different. I think for me personally, if I'm looking at gold here today, I'd be willing probably to trade it on the sell side. If I was talking purely technical, I don't really like the sell side in terms of fundamentals personally, so it probably doesn't fit my criteria for a trade. But from just a purely technical perspective, if I was looking to sell gold, it would just be the very simple, straightforward pullback into what level just got captured, for lack of a better term, from the sellers, right? Sellers, I would argue, captured this zone around 1955, where price broke underneath this low. And now a retest of this area, I would say, generally lends bearish, as now sellers have shown clear control of this area. So that's how I personally, I know it's very, straightforward technical analysis. And, for me, that's what's always been the easiest, the best way to approach it. I know people like to get fancy and do all sorts of stuff, but in terms of what I look for simple technicals that align also with my fundamental bias. Now, I also want to make sure we have another guest to join us here. Miko, are you good to join us? Give us a thumbs up if you're good. Can you hear? All right, cool. He's good. We'll bring him in. Hey, Miko, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Nick?
Good. We just had Marco join us as well, so we got
Hello,
the
Miko.
trio. We're back in action.
Yep.
Hello.
So would you look
Yeah.
for a slowdown here? So for the pullback, would you need a slowdown in momentum, or would you take a straight green candle? Let's say we're entering in that zone that you highlighted. How would you
Yeah.
approach that?
So no, that's a great question, because here's the thing. So I don't actually wait for confirmation. And I know that confirmation is, I don't necessarily think there's a right or wrong. Some people will say, as you guys know, with on the content side, people always tell you, you should have done the other thing whenever you're right or wrong, or when you're wrong, right? People will tell you, oh, you should have waited for confirmation, or you shouldn't have
Yeah.
waited for confirmation, right? So it's funny how that works. But for me personally, the way I would generally enter is that I'm not fundamentally bearish on gold, but if I was, I would just take it at this zone. I would know where my stop loss needs to be. I would know that I like that price level, regardless of whether it shows confirmation or not. As long as I have a fundamental bias, I'm willing to just take it at that level. But of course, each person has their own style, and I don't necessarily think waiting for confirmation is wrong per se either. Miko, if you want to jump in here on this this gold analysis we're doing here, a lot of people asking about it as we get going. If you want to share your screen, I'd love to see your take on this gold move.
Yeah, I've actually been looking at gold coming into the week. I was looking to short around the 2K mark, but unfortunately, we never got that retracement to that level. So yeah, I'm currently still bearish on gold because I was bullish last time we spoke, which was a couple of weeks ago. But since then, the market bled to the downside and take out these lows here. So after we took out the most recent low, which gave us this bullish move, which created new highs, after we did that, I was no longer bullish and actually looking to short gold. Long term, I'm still looking for buys, and I think gold might be coming maybe 1950, 1900, and possibly looking for some reversals there to go back north. But coming into the week, I was looking to short on this level here and ride some counter trend plays to the downside, but never quite saw that. And obviously, gold's looking particularly very bearish right now. So I'm not really looking to do anything with gold. I was looking to short 2K, never happened. So I'm just going to sit back and see what happens with this one. Like I said, I do expect eventually gold to find a higher low somewhere. As you can see, we're still printing these higher lows. So I think somewhere we can print a higher low. So I'm kind of just seeing what we do on the way down. And then maybe if you start looking like we're finding support, creating some bullish structure, then I'll start looking for some longs for play back up. But right now, everything is pretty bearish with gold, and now breaking through this structure, we could end up going further, which is what I think you guys were talking about as well. So yeah.
And Miko, while you've got screen control, walk us through also. Have you seen the NASDAQ move that occurred? We had if you want to just pull up NASDAQ, whether you trade it or not, I still think it's just such an interesting chart here today. NASDAQ trading higher. Part of the reason for this, just context for those of you guys who are not familiar with kind of what has happened in the tech world. NVIDIA, the chip maker here in the United States, had a massive increase in their forward guidance as to the demand for semiconductor chips, right? So whether it's in your gaming computer or all sorts of different things use semiconductors. Well, they had a massive quarter and also forecast for future quarters in terms of demand, especially off of all this AI craze stuff that we've seen. All the tech companies are trying to get in on it, and who benefits from that? Well, tech or companies that create semiconductors that contribute to that industry. So NASDAQ trading higher here today. Technically, what's going on with it, Miko? And I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, Marco, in just a moment.
So yeah, I mean that move which you're speaking about was quite interesting, because I was looking at the indices and I was looking at US30, S&P, and I was wondering why US 100 was flying and the rest kind of weren't, and US 30 was quite bearish. So a little bit puzzled to that. But looking at and obviously you clarified it there, but looking at from a technical perspective, we're coming to some really key highs here. This was our last major low high, so it's a very significant area here for US 100, because on the weekly chart, this was our last low high, which created the new lows here. Now the market has found its way back at that resistance and potentially could be breaking through. So this could be the start of a lot more upside for US 100. Looking at this from weekly, daily perspective, everything is looking pretty bullish so far. So with US 100, I mean, there's not much to do here because we're kind of at some uncharted areas we haven't been at for quite a while now. So unless we get some pullbacks and buys look good, but as to where we could go next, I mean, there's quite substantial areas. We've got places here. There's places on the left over here, potentially even the prior high over there as well. So what I'm seeing for US100 is a lot more upside potentially, because now that we're breaking through that resistance there, breaking through the high, we could still see a lot more upside for this one.
Miko, I hope you're right in that regards, because if I'm going to brag for just a moment, I am long on NASDAQ. I'll show you guys my screen. So here's the thing. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. And I've shared both. This one, I got to say, I felt really good about this trade yesterday. I picked it up, and I can't say I knew what was going to happen with NVIDIA. I'm not a crystal ball owner. If anybody in the audience has a crystal ball, please hit me up. I would buy it for any price. But, in terms of the NASDAQ, I'm there with you. I would love to see this thing break out through the highs. Personally, I wouldn't be looking to buy this either. I'd be looking at this point. I mean, I already am long, so I'm looking to see if we break it out. I'd love to trail my stop. I'd love to, lock something in on this trade, because I still have yet to do that. But to your point there, we're at a very important longer term level of resistance. Here's the weekly chart. You can see we are just trading just above, as you mentioned, notably, one of the last key lower highs in that downward pressure that we saw during 2022. So it'll be very interesting to see if we can trade and notably stay above current resistance here on that NASDAQ. So good points there. And Marco, can you confirm, can you please guarantee me that the chart continues higher? I could really use it.
I have a question for you. So what needs to happen for you to trail your stop right now, for you to move your stop loss?
Yes. So for me, what I like to do, so Marco, you made a point looking for in a downtrend, you're looking for lower highs to form, right?
Yeah.
To trail a stop. What I struggle with is exactly the point you just made. What do I do with my stop loss right now? Because if I toss it in here, I would be just kind of guessing where I think a lower high could form, right? Because in to your point there, what I kind of have to wait to see in terms of a point to trail a stop on this trade, I either need to see a higher low form, in which case I could perhaps, and higher low meaning it puts in a low and then it breaks through those highs yet again. That is what I personally, that's kind of what I deem a higher low confirmed. If that occurs, then I'm able to trail that stop behind it. But then the other scenario is that if it just explodes, as Miko was saying, we're testing that key zone. If it just breaks right through that, a break through that level, I'll probably just go ahead and assume that we should hold this structure. And if we don't, I don't know if I still like holding the trade anyways. So those are the two scenarios, either just a straight runaway trade in which I'm looking for a key zone to break, and then I'm looking to trail behind it, or a higher low that I can kind of justify moving the stop on. So good, Marco, you've always got the great questions, man. That's a good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I do a very similar thing. So swing highs, swing lows, just move it as it goes, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And Marco, so walk us through, I guess, your view of any of the indices. It could be the NASDAQ or any of them. And then I'll also just let you take the floor, because I was selfish there. I just wanted to talk about my trade. So thank you guys for your analysis on it.
That's okay. So for the NASDAQ, what I'm seeing on the larger scale, I'm seeing a possible head and shoulders pattern.
Okay.
Actually, reversed head and shoulders. So we have the left shoulder, head, and what I would look for is the right shoulder. And then I would look for the price to continue trending up. Also, you can make a case for this being a cup and then a handle, or a V reversal and then a range, which is what I usually trade. So I would just look for a small consolidation here before the price breaks to the upside a bit further. And then once I get a confirmation of the break, because this level will surely be very strong, so I'll need to see at least one candle break and the second candle continue, then I would consider taking a long entry to the upside. So this is definitely, I would say, bullish, showing me some bullish pressure, but it's at a key level where I'm expecting a bit of a rejection, especially because I know a lot of retail has probably sold this stop, and kept their stops above. So this is sure a liquidity area where the price will have some sort of a rejection. Maybe
Yeah.
there will be some super high strength and we will just push through. But in my experience, in my backtesting, that's very, very rare to happen.
Yeah, good points there, Marco. And one thing that I like about having this dynamic where Miko and Marco, you guys have kind of I would say, Miko, your method of trading on the pullback, you wait for that deeper pullback, kind of similar to myself. And Marco, what I find very interesting about your style is you have those, you're looking for just that very slight brisk pullback that just continues very quickly, or you're out. And I think both styles can be excellent. You've got that chart that pulled up right now, that the US 100 chart. If you look at the far left extreme of your screen right now, you've got these explosive moves up and just these very brisk, tiny pullbacks, and then it explodes higher. So one argument I would say, and I don't trade that way, I don't look for such brisk pullbacks. I don't think, they're just not the way I trade personally. But to the point that I find fascinating about that way of trading is that generally when a chart is just explosive like that, the pullbacks are so brief. Like they're just like little tiny brisk pulls, and then they just shoot yet again. So kind of interesting there. Miko, what we've talked a little gold here. We've talked a little indices. What are you looking at yourself? You have any trades on or currency pairs, anything you're looking at?
Yeah, I've currently got a short on pound Swiss, which I entered since yesterday. Been moving sideways. Again, pound Swiss is a quite choppy pair, so kind of getting why I deserve a little bit. But pound CHF, I'm looking at some shorts here. I'm looking for another move back down to the lows. Basically, I'm looking for another lower high on a daily chart. Excuse me. So yeah, on the daily chart, the market's consistently performing these lower highs here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking to even catch the fifth one. Kind of got this. I forget the name. It's just like where we've got those lower highs and we've got equal lows, triangular pattern, something like that. But yeah, price kind of squeezing in this area. So I'm expecting longer term pound Swiss to actually break into the downside and clear out these lows. Because from a higher time frame perspective, we got very, very bearish for this pair. So eventually I do see us coming back to the lows. So I'm just trying to take part in these lower highs here and ride it back into the support, take my profit, and see if we can finally get the breakthrough, and then I'll start shorting on the way down on some pullbacks. But yeah, this is the current trade I'm in. Entered yesterday, still currently at my current entry, but we'll see how that plays out. I'm also looking at AUSD. This one recently ripped to the downside, taking out some key lows here on the left as well. And I think, again, from a long-term perspective, similar to pound Swiss, I think we're heading down to the prior lows here on the weekly chart. So now I'm just looking for the pullbacks to ride into the downside. I think this is more of an opportunity for next week because today's already Thursday. And again, I'm looking for those deeper pullbacks, as you mentioned. Just briefly there, I'm looking at this area here in particular. Got some really good confluence there, got good fib level there, possibly the next lower high coming to that trend line as well. So I'm looking to see if we can push back up, find some lower highs, and I'll look for my entry confirmation to short. But yeah, longer term for me, AU, I'm looking at 0.62. So any pullbacks I can see which are of good quality, fit my criteria, of course, I'll be looking to short them to the downside, and maybe even NZD USD as well. This one just about clearing some lows here, but I need this one to push a little bit further. But they're very, very similar pairs, so I think NZD USD could be heading down to those lows too. So I'm going to keep a close eye for those pairs heading into the week ahead.
I like that. Well, I like both of those charts that you mentioned, the last two, NZD and AUD versus the dollar. One thing that I do like, and just fundamentally speaking about the New Zealand dollar for a moment, is that the RBNZ, they recently announced yet another rate hike this week, actually. But with that, they signaled that the rate hikes are done for New Zealand. And with that, when we talk monetary policy, even just on a high level, without getting too into the fundamentals, the concept of, hey, we're done rate hiking, yet there's still a possibility that the counterpart, the US, or perhaps if you're looking at the UK especially, they're more on the side of we need to keep raising rates to squash inflation. that is a macro driver to currency trades around the world. If you're paying attention to central banks, that is, you'll always notice that, red folders after red folders, whenever there is a interest rate decision, those are the things that are really underlyingly driving these charts. So I actually really like the fact that New Zealand has said, hey, we're not raising rates anymore, just took their currency and just went, see you later. Because rate hikes, as we know, are generally a bullish thing for the underlying currency. And so we've seen that trade kind of fall apart. And so I think you have, yes, a beautiful technical chart, right? A pullback to this area could look great, but you also have that fundamental catalyst that could be really strong as well. So I like New Zealand dollar myself as well on a pullback. And like you said, perhaps closer to next week, as a pullback is 120 pips away. So nothing too immediate there. Marco, what about you? What you have any trades open or things that you're entering nearby or close to looking at?
Yeah, so Aussie US dollar, same as you guys. I don't have a trade open, but it's definitely on my watch list. So what I like about it is, for the past couple of months on the 1 hour chart, I have mostly been seeing this sort of price action, so mostly ranges. And right now I'm seeing some heavy movement down, which is a really good sign that we will get further trends. So I really like these legs. I'm seeing momentum, and I'm not seeing much buying pressure. So right here I'm seeing a bit of a slowdown. That is correct. Possible reversal, and which I'd be interested to exploit, maybe to the level that you guys were looking at for the retest. But again, that's not the rule. Anything can happen. So if I don't get an opportunity for a reversal, if we get more momentum down, then I would just look to sell, because I'm definitely seeing selling pressure and some clean price actions. So this is the pair that is definitely on my watch list, and I really like it. It's showing me some clean price action especially compared to the past 4 months where I have just seen very corrective ranges. So yeah, Aussie US dollar, very good. And then another one for me is New Zealand Japanese yen. This one I like as well. I'm again seeing some cleaner legs. Throughout the last 3 weeks, I have seen some really clean movement. So we had this uptrend. Unfortunately, there were no pullbacks that fit my plan, which I could have gotten in. Actually, I had some orders on, but I didn't get tagged. But again, compared to this corrective price action we saw in the past couple of months, this is a very good sign. And especially now this big bearish leg, which continued. So I'm seeing if I will get more momentum down, and then I would just look for a pullback and I would look to sell. Very simple. This may just be some small consolidation, and I'm not seeing major buying pressure. So if I get more bearish candles, I would be interested as a seller.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, no, I think that the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar on the currency side are more on the more of the interesting ones on my watch list as well. So cool stuff there as always. Guys, I do also want to say, for those of you who are viewing here with us, if this is your first time on a collaborative stream like this, where we have Marco and Miko join myself for the show, I just want to say we bring on guests. We bring on people that we think are great contributors to our community on YouTube, the trading community as a whole. We're trying to do something here where we bring people together, different ideas. We bounce ideas off one another, and I think we have a lot of fun with it. So if you guys want to check out Miko and Marco here, a big thank you to them for joining us on the show today. As always, I want to encourage you guys, make sure to go subscribe to Miko's channel and to Marco's channel respectively. They have content of their own, and could definitely, they would definitely be a worthwhile subscription for you on YouTube. And again, by subscribing to them, you're telling YouTube, hey, show me their next video. And there you go. Miko, Marco, thank you guys for joining me on the show as always. And we'll see you guys back next week.
Thank you. Bye.
See you guys.
See you. Goodbye.
Thanks again for watching today's show. Our goal at A1 Trading is to continue to share free value to our audience through daily videos and articles, keeping you up to date with the latest market coverage. If you enjoy our content, make sure to subscribe for more. And if you create a new trading account with ACAP, you can get tools like the EDGEFINDER completely for free. Check the link in the description for more information. From all of us at A1 Trading, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.